My name is Grigori Rasputin, but they called me the Mad Monk. They said I could heal the sick, control the Tsar, seduce the Empress. But what really pissed them off was that I wouldn't die. Cyanide in the wine, tasted sweet. Bullets in the chest barely slowed me down. Frozen river. I walked out smiling. You want to know what happened that night? First, let me tell you why they wanted me dead. The boy was dying, the Tsarevich, heir to the empire, bleeding from the inside. Doctors had tried everything, priests too. Nothing worked, until I arrived. I didn't offer medicine. I offered presence. I prayed. I touched his forehead. By morning, the bleeding stopped. They called it a miracle. The Tsarina called it salvation. From that day on, I was inside the palace, inside the family. And the closer I got to her, the more they whispered. About favors, about sin, about power I shouldn't have. But it wasn't lust or magic that frightened them. It was this. When you get that close to a throne, someone always wants to pull you off it. They called me a holy man, a healer, a prophet. They also called me a drunk, a sinner in a saint's robe, a demon in human skin. They watched me, followed me, wanted pieces of me. Every time they warned me, I stepped closer to the fire. They said I corrupted the court, seduced their wives, enchanted their daughters. But it wasn't the sin that scared them. It was that the Tsarina listened. They called me a devil, but they all came to my door. And the closer they got, the more they feared what they'd built. They didn't summon ministers that late or generals, just me. He trusted me, not just for his son, but for himself. He shared with me things no emperor should admit. Fears, regrets, names. Power doesn't just lie in gold. It lives in shadows, in whispered prayers. She saw how close we were. That scared her more than bullets ever could. When I advised the throne, others grew quiet, but their silence held knives. They whispered that I was the emperor behind the emperor. They gave me power, and then feared what I might do with it. They met in silence, men with soft hands and sharp eyes, all speaking the language of murder. I wasn't blind. I saw the glances, the whispers, the fear crawling up their silk collars. They wrote letters, dozens, to the Tsar, to the church, pleading to be rid of me. It was Yusupov who finally said it, not out loud, but in his eyes. He wanted blood. They knew where I went, who I spoke to. They planned it like a dinner party. But you see, I already knew. I smelled it in their silence, in the way the palace air changed. Then the letter came. Dinner, wine, company. They even signed it with a smile. So when they invited me for wine that night, I smiled. The end began like a gift, a private invitation, a palace full of snakes, but I walked in anyway. He poured the wine himself, said it was a special vintage. I could taste the lie before I sipped it. Then the cakes, laced with cyanide, sugar and death, in one bite. I waited for the spasms, the blood, but nothing came, nothing but silence. Then came the gun, a gentleman's bullet, straight to the gut. I dropped, not dead, not yet. I ran, through snow, through pain, through the curse they'd just triggered. The ice cracked beneath me, and I smiled again. They thought the river would finish me, but when they pulled me from the ice, something was wrong. There was poison in me, a bullet in my side, and water in my lungs. They didn't understand how I was still breathing after the gun. The news spread like fire across the empire. The man they killed didn't die right. They dressed me up for burial, but nobody wanted to look too long, afraid I might look back. The surgeon spoke of poison, bullets, water. One said, he should have died 3 times over, but I didn't. They said I cursed my killers, that their bloodlines would rot, that I was more than flesh. Yusupov couldn't sleep, said he saw me in mirrors, heard me whispering in his wine. Even in death, I refused to be quiet. They tossed me in a river, said that was the end of it, but Russia had other plans. The newspapers called me a demon, a monster, a sickness purged from the body of an empire. But in taverns and kitchens they told different stories, that I cured the dying, that I cursed the Tsar's enemies, that bullets couldn't kill me. Some feared me, some worshipped me. Others couldn't tell the difference. They whispered I never left the palace, that my shadow walked its halls long after my body froze. I became a story parents told their children, a nightmare hiding behind reflection. I warned them, if I die at the hands of nobles, the empire dies with me. So they feared me, but not because of what I did, because I was the thing they couldn't burn. My name was never buried. They whispered it in war rooms, cursed it in chapels, feared it in dreams. They killed the monk, and the throne cracked. A year later, their empire drowned in blood. I didn't create the fear. They did. I just walked through it, wearing it like a robe. You can kill a man, but when you give him a name like mine, you turn him into a curse. Romanovs, Bolsheviks, kings, all dust, but say my name today, and they still flinch. I am the shadow they can't outrun, the whisper in every palace wall, the grin in their nightmares. They thought I was death, but I was a beginning. I'm not gone. I'm not buried. I am the curse.